So the beginning of Black Mafia Family, the true story behind Demetrius Big Meech and Terry Southwest T's rise from the streets of Southwest Detroit in the late 1980s, and we're going to see everything from love, loyalty, capitalism, and the pursuit of the American dream throughout this series. And they didn't choose the hustle chose them. It was the only way to better their living situation and end poverty right then and there. Those were the words spoken by Big Meech, explaining why he chose to hustle, why he chose this life. But did he regret it? Not one bit, as he told us in the opening sequence, but he changed his tone towards the end of this episode, after Terry was shot, because if he never let his brother in the car when they were young, they may never have been in this position that they were in today. But throughout this first episode, we were introduced to a young Meech and Terry and his family. We were introduced to his boss, his crew, and his rivals, and some love interests as well. We saw the ambition of Meech, and he needs the brains of his brother to help him. But we're going to run through everything BMF Episode 1 in this review and recap. But of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything BMF and Power Universe related. But let's kick things off where this episode started, which was in Detroit 2005, and Big Meech is out. He's back home. And as everybody gets together in the neighborhood, the older Meech's narration tells us everything that's always happening. People always ask if I have any regrets, and the truth is, I don't. And they definitely gave up a lot to be in the position that they got to. Being back in the old neighborhood, just across the street from where he grew up, really reminded of Meech of how much they gave up and the life that they gave up. But then we get introduced to a young Meech and Terry and their family, and this is Charles and Lucille, their parents. And we see them doing dumb shit, as all kids do. But instantly we knew that this is a family who aren't exactly flush with cash. They're a family who struggled, no milk for Terry to even have some cereal, and no hot water, with Terry boiling up some water just to wash up. But it's Meech's first day at work at Wendy's. Well, that's what he's told his parents. But in reality, he was going to go work for Pat, played by Wood Harris, and a young Meech tells Terry that one day he's going to have a car just like his boss's, and he does. We see how they roll up to the club later on in this episode. See it, touch it, obtain it, which was the title of this episode, and as Meech got into the car, so did Terry, and letting Terry into the car that day took Meech and Terry on a journey which was beyond their wildest imaginations. They built their family as they chased this American dream and lived like kings. And Meech said that if they were to do it all over again, he wouldn't change one thing, but we all know one thing he would have changed. But then we actually start in the 1980s, where Meech and Terry are having issues with another rival gang called the 12th Street. And this is why Terry is the brains. He chooses this spot because the city championship game was the same day, and that meant the whole place was going to be full of cops and metal detectors, so none of the 12th Street boys could be strapped. And Terry's going to be quiet. He's the brains behind the scene. Terry is torn between two competing identities, being a new father and becoming the first male in their family to graduate high school, or becoming a dealer who must protect his brother from himself as well as secure their safety. And this is what we've already started to see during this first episode. When he went to the baby shower for his baby, he's torn between his two identities, where he tells Wanda that this isn't him, this isn't his scene. And this is definitely going to be a constant theme as we run through this series, with Terry fighting these two identities. But as they enter through the metal detectors, he goes and gets himself a piece, which would later come back and be the reason why Meech is kicked out of their parents' house. But this is the meet with the 12th Street, and they're not happy with Meech and his crew taking an uncharted territory, which they won, and J-Mo, the leader of the 12th Street, doesn't see the big picture. If these two crews actually played cool, then there's enough money, food, and territory for both crews. Meech tells them that if they pull their resources and work together, then they'd be like the Italian mob. And this is who Meech is. He's hungry for success, he's charming, he's ambitious, a Detroit legend in the making, who becomes the face of the operation. Hungry for his slice of the American dream, Meech quickly advances from a corner boy to a mid-level man who knows when to use the carrot or the stick, as he and his brother set out to become the kings of Detroit. And he wants to be the king. He tells them that he's ready to go to war and he's not moving anywhere until his brother T pulls out a piece. He then gives the territory to J-Mo and the 12th Street boys. And Meech later tells Terry that he should never have brought a piece to the meet and he needs to stay in his lane. He's the brains and Meech is the vision, and they need to work together. But they will never be as great as they want to be as long as they're getting their product from Pat. And as time goes on, we will see them separate and go their own way because they want to be bigger than what they are right now. And Pat the OG, he's the one who gave Meech and Terry their first real opportunity in the game, and he also teaches them how to show family first and guides them, just as we saw at the end of this episode. But sooner or later they will start to outshine their old boss, and as a student sometimes surpasses their teacher, this is what we're going to see with Meech and Terry in time. But he asked Meech what's up with the territory that he gave to the 12th Street boys, and Pat told him that if someone's stepping on your toes, on your territory, you don't just move to the side, you back them the hell up. And the rules have always been the same, there ain't no other way. But coming back to the gun, and Terry putting this in the top drawer, came back when Charles put this on Meech and asked him what kind of job do you need when you need a gun, which led Meech to throw his fist at his father. And he was the one who was helping his family with all the payments that had been overdue because they have been struggling. but Meech took the rap for the gun and he was kicked out of their home. So he went to his girl's place, Mo, who used to be Lamar Silas's girl. And Lamar Silas used to be a legend, and he's back in town after being inside for 2 years, and he showed he's not messing around. These are two characters, Meech and Lamar, who are going to have trouble over this coming season, and it's already started with Lamar hitting Meech with his car and telling him to stay away from his girl. But before Lamar Silas went inside, he was running shit back then. He used to terrorize the area, he used to rob all the dealers, and only when Lamar went inside was when the 12th Street boys came up, and they had the bottom near the shrimp joint, and Meech and his crew had 19th Street by the store. Now, Lamar's lawyers ran with an insanity defense, where he was then given 4 years in a mental health facility, but he was released after 2 years, and he's pissed off with two things: seeing Meech with his ex, and seeing all his corners being taken up by the 12th Street and the 50 boys, and he wants things to go back to how they used to be. So there's going to be a whole lot of trouble with Lamar this season, and Pat warned Meech about Lamar as well, with him telling him that competition is thickening, and this is why he told him when people come in and step on their toes in their territory, you gotta show them who you are. So definitely keep an eye on Lamar and Meech. Now, who else is going to be an issue? Maybe not in the short term, but definitely as time goes on, is B. Mickey. He's third in command. He's below Terry and Meech, and sooner or later we're going to see him being fed up of taking orders from Meech and Terry, so this is definitely something else to look out for over this coming season. But they're not happy with Kato slicing the prices to make sales, because they're called the 50 boys for a reason. They sell them for 50 all day and all night. But then they cook up a new batch of drugs which start to create a huge demand, and now they're really making money, and Mrs. Griffin, who was giving them trouble before, can't do anything because Meech has solved this little problem. But Meech and Terry want to show how the 50 boys do their thing as Pat celebrates his birthday, and they're under the same roof as the 12th Street and Lamar at this club. J-Mo actually approaches Lamar and basically tells him that his pockets are empty, come join my crew, because they could do with someone of his expertise, but he rejects. Now we also see Terry confront Kwame, who he had trouble with at school, but as soon as Meech steps in, they back off, and this is the presence that he had, which will be felt even more as they grow, and all Power fans will definitely be familiar with this character, Markeisha Taylor, and she's going to strike up a bit of romance with Terry, even though she has a husband, who's Boom, who we were also introduced to, but everything that Terry has built on the streets is going to be at risk because of the relationship that he starts to have with Markeisha. But Meech and Terry rap with Pat outside, and they want more product, but Pat tells them, have you ever heard of the expression, God doesn't give you more than you can handle, and as far as he was concerned, he was God, and he's always got their best interests at heart, and he wants to keep them out of jail. But Meech has had enough. He's done with people telling him what to do, and they need to make a change. They need to start running their own shit, but they can only do that if they work together. Like Meech said earlier on in the episode, Meech has the vision and Terry has the brains, and together they can be motherfucking kings. But then we see Wanda giving birth to a little baby boy, but just 2 days later, this is where the episode comes full circle. Remember how Big Meech said he wouldn't change a goddamn thing? He said if he hadn't let his brother join him in that car, they may not have been in this position that they're in today. And Terry being shot in the eye is actually a true story. He was actually shot outside his baby mama's house. Somebody actually came up and shot him, and this is how he actually lost his eye. But who shot him? Who knows? But one thing we do know is he definitely survives after this, of course. But that was the first episode of BMF, and it was a real good premiere, and I can just tell from this first episode that it's going to be a show that will be big. 50 said that it's going to be bigger than Power, and who knows, it very well could be. But let me know what you guys think about the first episode down below in the comment section. Drop all your thoughts and comments down below, and I'm going to be back in the evening as usual, just finishing up on Raising Kanan with a few more videos over the next days, and then it's going to be all things BMF related until we get to Power Book 2 Go Season 2, of course. So if you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything BMF and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and remember, see it, touch it, obtain it.